Hey guys, and welcome to Algonaut in the studio. My name is Tim Karn, and today I'm going to show you the basics of how to make a hip-hop beat in the style of Drake or Kanye West. You may have heard of them before. I'm mainly going to go over the basics, however there might be a few tricks in there that might be useful to some of the more advanced users out there. Okay, the first thing we'll do is set the tempo. We're going to work around about 95 BPM. Hip-hop is a bit more open with the specific tempo it needs to be, unlike say house, which is very like 120, 125 sort of thing. Cool, so 95 BPM. Let's start off with the drums. So we're going to use Atlas for this. Now I've got a map here that I've made with a few of the machine packs that are kind of aimed more towards hip-hop. So I'm just going to scroll down here, go machine for hip-hop. So here you can see I've used Electric Vice, Golden Kingdom, Magnet, Hustle, and Sierra Grove, and I've made them into a map. So here are all the samples all grouped together. So there's kind of two ways we can approach these drums. We can use a pre-made MIDI clip and just generate kits, or we can make them ourselves. So let's try the first way first. I'm going to open up the MIDI clips tab. Let's get a hip hop clip into Ableton. Close that. Hit new kit. This is kind of populated a new kit randomly, but it will put a kick and snare clap all in the right places, and then we'll just hit play and see what we got. I'll just mute the other sound. It's actually not too bad. Let's try another one. Yeah, alright. Pretty cool. Thin. Yeah, that'll probably work as well. Maybe not that one. Nah. It's pretty good. Change the hat. That's pretty good as well. Try another clip. Hip hop 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean that's good too. So there you go. It's quite easy to generate hip hop MIDI loops, and I'm in Atlas. It's really good for hip hop actually, even better than house. Or we can make them ourselves. So I'm just going to clear this kit, get rid of this hip hop MIDI clips, and make our own. So let's start off by trying to find a whoa. You know what? That kick will probably do the job. All right, into the MIDI clip. It's in C3. Close this. So one on the first beat. Let's hear that. Let's hear. That's probably the basics. Maybe I'll duplicate this twice. So we get a bit more of a longer loop, so we can add some variation. So we'll keep the 1 and the 3 the same, and we'll make the last one different as well. Okay, let's find a snare. So we kind of want a short, thin snare, something kind of close to an 808. What have we got? That's kind of cool. It's got some noise in there. Wet ones up in that corner, probably avoid those. These all sound like pretty good options actually. Let's commit to that one. All right. So you want this on the add 2 in there just to make it interesting. The snare's a bit weak actually. Let's give me one. Just want to select it and just use right click to hot swap. Now. It's alright. We'll go with that. Alright, cool. Let's get a hat. So we probably want, again, something kind of short and thin, something close to like an 808 hat, but I recommend trying to avoid a pure 808 hat, otherwise it's just going to sound boring like everyone else. So what have we got? Hi-hats closed. It's pretty cool. They're all quite big up that end. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the business. You know what? That'll do. All right. So I mean, hip hop traditionally is quite eighth hat based. So if I were to say put one here, eighth. I mean, so you put a note basically every eighth note. So you could do that, or more modern hip hop is more trappy, so it's more sparse. So not often the hats aren't always there, but when they are there, they're like really fast. So really rapid. So maybe we'll do a bit of that. So you can kind of, I'll change the grid, so it's 132. We get rid of that one. Yeah, something like that. We can do. That's actually quite cool. Actually, that reminds me, we could put some groove on this. So let's open up the groove pool. I have one here. It's just a swings 99%, but it's dialed back using the global amount down to 10%. So we'll chuck that on the clip and dial that up to like. Fast ones at the end. All right, it's a bit of a vibe. One other thing that's kind of quite common is sort of an open hat kind of at the end of bars. So if we find a nice, well, hi-hat open way up there. Okay. I'm just going to use that. All right. Try to cell just to make things interesting on the 8th note at the end of a bar. Maybe we'll do it every second bar. Cool. Yeah, I mean, is that clip better than the ones that are built into Atlas? Double check. In that case, it kind of is, because the open hat isn't amazing. Oh, you generate a new kit. That sounds pretty good. Oh, it's sick. You know what? I'm going to commit to this clip. It's just, this is the beauty of Atlas, right? By using new kit and it just picking sounds for you, you tend to get this really inspired kind of result. So we'll roll with that. So that's drums. Let's move on to bass. So there's kind of two ways you can kind of approach your bass in hip hop. I've done a little bit of listening to Kanye and Drake, and basically Kanye is more sort of stab based bass. So 808 hits or like a sample, whereas Drake is more like a synth held pad. I mean, obviously this is just a generalized thing. It's not every song, but it's kind of like sort of two ways you can kind of approach this. So we'll find an 808 bass first. We'll go into Atlas. Let's go into our kicks and see if there's one here that's easy to find. If not, we can just find one in a pack. They were quite short. That's pretty good. It's a good bass. So what I might do is drag that out of Atlas into a channel, load that into Simpler. Let's see if there's any better ones. Whoa, that's a long one. Yeah, okay, so here are all your sort of long subby kicks. That's also pretty good, but probably a bit punchy. All right. Oh, that's a good one. I'm tempted to use both. I'm going to group this Simpler, split it open, drag the other one in as well. And I'll just solo. I can go between them now and mix and match. All right, great. We've got a bass. Let's label this 808 bass. Okay, so we'll try the Kanye way first. We'll just use an 808 essentially where the kicks are. So I'm just going to copy this over here. We're going to get rid of everything we don't need. Okay, let's play it. Okay, so if you don't have the 808, okay, so that kick is actually kind of long on its own. So let's. Oh, did I just change it? I did. That's a better one. Okay, it sounds pretty good. Let's change to the other 808 and see what it sounds like. Wow, it's too long. Alright. Okay, thanks for your time. Alright, so it's 808 bass. The other way is you can find like a bassy sound. And one thing I've sort of heard in some Kanye tracks is it's essentially like a kick that's been reverbed. So I'm going to find a kick. It could take me some time, so I'm going to do a bit of a fade, but we'll find a good kick and then we'll reverb it out. Okay, so I'm back. I found a kick drum in one of the Vengeance packs that I think does the job. And I added a saturator, a filter, and a reverb to kind of make it sound different. So let's turn this off and hear what it sounds like without. So we just get a kick drum. Then I use a saturator to kind of make it sound fat. A filter to kind of get rid of some of the highs that we don't need. And a reverb, and I made it quite wet with a really short time. And then I filtered out a lot of the highs as well so they don't carry on. So you get a kind of dirty bass, which can be used in contrast in the song with a with a clean 808 style one. So if I go between them, so that could be like say a verse. Oh. And that could be a chorus. Yeah, alright, that's bass. The other way you can do bass is with a pad. So this is more Drake style. If we get like a synth pad or a held bass sound, we can be a bit more progressive with it and just basically add bass underneath the whole beat. So I guess you can use two ways. You can do it using a synth, or you can find a sample. So I might actually find a sample first in this case. I've got a pack here, Vengeance Ultimate Bass. I bet we can find one in there that'll work. Yeah, so just give me a second to find one. Okay, back again. So I found this bass pad here, which sounds a little bit like this. So I just loaded it into Simpler so I can play with the pitch on a keyboard. Looped it so to get rid of this little gap at the end so it didn't stop by pressing the loop. And check it on a filter so I can get rid of some of the highs so it's a bit more muffled and will sit in the mix better. So it sounds a bit like this. Something like that. So it's like a bass. That's like a pad-based bass. A technique you can use to do that. The other way you can kind of make bass is just using a synth. You could try something like Native Instruments Massive and just go through the sub bass presets and come up with a sound that way. But we'll commit to using the first style with the 808 and the 808 stab bass and move on. Which again sounds like this. Okay, so one more thing you might want to add before you kind of start hiring that vocalist is a hook sound. So you can do this again in two ways. You could try using a synth, or you could grab a sample from a sample pack and play it melodically that way. There's another tool out there called Serato Sample you could try as well, which can be quite a good way of taking a song and trying to find something in there that you can resample in some creative way. But let's try and make something with a synth first. Okay, so I'm going to find a synth sound just using the built-in Ableton instrument called Wavetable. But you can use any synth for this. You could use Massive, Silent, Serum, something like that. So let's go in here, synth lead, find something that sounds good. What have we got? Whoops, a daisy. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that could kind of do if you're looking for that kind of niggas in Paris kind of vibe. Can I say that? I just did. Oh well. All right. That's a melody. Arguable whether it's actually good or not, but it's going to do for the job. What do we got? Let's modify it a bit. Automation. Sweet. Or we can find a sample that's taken from, say, a song. So give me a moment to try and find something like that will work. Okay, I'm back. That took about 20 seconds to find. I just went into a Native Instruments machine pack and found these really cool chord stabs. So let's give that a go. So I'm going to chuck them into a drum rack. Fastest way to do this will probably be to drag it into a channel, turn this into a drum rack, group to drum rack. Okay, I might chuck this up to C3. Okay. Okay. These probably need to be on the same choke group as well, so I'll just open that up. There. Okay. Choke group. Let's do 16, 16, 16. Okay. That's a nice little vibe. Okay, let's get it down. Give me a count in. Jesus. Okay. Oh, I see. Fuck. It sounds pretty good to me. Quantize it up. Go away, metronome. So now what you could do is you could get a filter or something on the drums to kind of give it a bit of a structure. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is in certain sections of the song, you might want to high cut out the bass during, like, say, a bit before a drop. It's a cheap and easy way to give your song structure. So if we go into auto filter, high pass, cool. I might actually map this to a knob. It's not set up. You know what? I'll just do it with the mouse. That's cool. Dart to 0. You know what, I might actually set something up here. There's a problem actually just with automating a filter if you don't have this device. What I mean is if the device is on all the time, because even at 0, or in other words 26.6 hertz, this is actually going to be affecting the sound in some way, and you might not want that. So I'll just play it, for example. I need to put this on the master actually. We'll do it here. Yeah, my point being that, at the beginning, this was actually going to be messing around with the bass. So you only want to have it basically on when you're going to be automating this frequency up. So one thing you can set up is if you group this and assign it to a knob, you can do a few tricky things. So we're going to map the filter, the frequency, to knob 1. We're also going to map the on switch to knob 1. Okay. So in these map settings, we're going to leave the frequency as it is. That's fine. But what we want it to do is when it is at 0, when it's at the bottom, we want the device to be off. So we want the max to be 0. And when it's away from 0, we want the device to turn on. So we're just going to set this to 1. And so now I'll turn the settings off. So as you can see, when I'm at the bottom now, or 26 Hertz, the whole thing is disabled. But as soon as I start automating it, it's going to turn the device on. So that means that throughout the song, normally you don't have to worry about what this filter is actually going to be doing to your mix down. It'll just have its effect when you need it. So what does it sound like? Cool. What does that 808 sound like again? It's a bit of lows in that actually we should probably get rid of. EQ8. Oh, there's heaps of lows. Alright, we'll just cut them. Okay, so there you have it, the basics of making hip hop in Ableton using Atlas and some samples. We've kind of got 2 songs here. Let's hear the first, a much more sort of mellow, almost R&B vibe. That sounds nice. Or we have this one. Cue the foghorn. We make the best music. Alright, that's hip hop. Thanks for watching. And one final thing I'm going to add on the end is let's try and do a bit of a quick remix by changing that drum kit out. So let's go back to the mellow one because it sounds so much nicer. Pop up an Atlas, have a listen. I'm just going to basically hit new kit and generate new beats.